Hey, how's it going? Solveig and Dane here for KMAC Museum's Tiny Art Tales.
Today, it's all about the moon.
Tonight, there is a full moon where we live, in Kentucky.
If you're in Kentucky, tonight, try to look out your window and spot the full moon. Did you know you could also see the full moon in the daytime if you wanted?
Yes, oftentimes in the morning you can see it.
And it is morning.
Did you know the moon is a satellite? It's our natural satellite. And it probably broke off of Earth when a huge Mars-sized meteor hit us. The moon has 8 phases. We have, this is one of Solveig's shirts.
That's my shirt.
You want to read them out, Solveig?
First quarter, waxing crescent, new moon,
that one is waning crescent.
waning crescent, third quarter, waning
Gibbous.
waning gibbous, full, waxing gibbous, and back to first quarter.
Right, so the moon changes shape to our appearance. It doesn't really change shape. We only see one half of the moon all the time, pretty much, but the sun's shining on it changes its shape to us. So sometimes it's a crescent, sometimes it looks like a half of a pie. So our first book we're going to be reading today is Little Rabbit Waits for the Moon. And it's by Beth, Shoshan, and Stephanie Peel. Little Rabbit couldn't sleep. If I fall asleep now, there'll be no one to watch over me, he thought. I'll just have to wait for the moon. And so he did just that. Little Rabbit waited and waited. More time passed, and the moon still hadn't come. He thought he had better ask someone how much longer he might have to wait. Little Rabbit asked a yellow flower in a field. "Maybe I will have grown as big as a tree by the time your moon comes," said the little flower. That sounded too long. Little Rabbit thought he had better ask someone else just to be sure. He asked the lake. "Look deep into the water," shimmered the lake. "Maybe your moon has fallen into the water and can't get out." That didn't sound right. Little Rabbit thought he had better ask someone else just to be sure. He asked a long and winding path. "We can find out where I'm leading, and maybe your moon is at the other end," twisted the path. That sounded like it might be a long way away. Little Rabbit thought he had better ask someone else just to be sure. Little Rabbit sat down on the grass. He asked the wind as it ruffled his fur. "I might be a big, fierce storm by the time your moon comes," breezed the wind. That didn't sound like something he wanted to wait for. Little Rabbit thought he had better ask someone else just to be sure. Little Rabbit asked the great rolling hills. "We can't see your moon, and we can see far into the distance from up here," rumbled the hills. That didn't sound very promising. Little Rabbit began to think that the moon might never come, and he was getting very, very tired. And then, from behind the hills, carried by the wind along the twists of the path, reflected in the lake, and shining on the petals of the little yellow flower, the most perfect moon slid into the night sky. But Little Rabbit had fallen asleep, dreaming of the moon that would watch over him through the night. So everybody had a different idea when the moon would come. We're going to sing a little song. Oh, where'd the other book go? Okay. Yeah. Let's sing a little song about the moon now.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a nursery rhyme. And it goes like this. You want to tap with me? You want to sing it with me? Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the fish ran away with the spoon. Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the moon. Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon. Hey, diddle, diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed, ha 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 ha, to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon.
Also, we wanted to show you, after this book, I'm going to show you something that I have.
Our next book is this very famous one called Goodnigt Moon by Margaret Wise Brown. Pictures by Clement Hurd. In the great green room there was a telephone and a red balloon and a picture of the cow jumping over the moon. And there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs. And 2 little kittens, and a pair of mittens, and a little toy house, and a young mouse, and a comb, and a brush, and a bowl full of mush, and a quiet old lady who was whispering, "Hush." Good night, room. Good night, moon. Good night, cow, jumping over the moon. Good night, light, and the red balloon. Good night, bears. Good night, chairs. Good night, kittens, and good night, mittens. Good night, clocks. And good night, socks. Good night, little house, and good night, mouse. Good night, comb, and good night, brush. Good night, nobody. Good night, mush. And good night to the old lady whispering, "Hush." Good night, stars. Good night, air. Good night, noises everywhere. Night room. Solvieg has a night light she wants to show you.
But first we need to turn out
Make things a little darker.
Can you help?
I think you got it.
Can you help with the other side of that?
Yeah.
Well, I did it.
Okay.
Where's the remote? Oh yeah, the remote.
This is Solveig's night light. And it happens to be
This
full moon.
is the controller. You press this small button. Wait, can you hold this moon
Sure.
right here?
Allow me.
If you press the small button, the really small button, it goes on. And if you press it again, it goes off. If you press the huge button, it goes.
Oh, there are the quarters. And the waning gibbous and the waxing gibbous. And then
And if you press this middle
Waxing
button,
crescent.
you might want to wait. You might have to wait a little.
And if it's off, it's no moon. A new moon. You want to leave it on?
Let's leave it on.
Thank you for joining us this week, and enjoy the full moon. Join us next week for another edition of KMAC Museum's Tiny Art Tales.
Bye.